rocks around the Billy Squire, big pound wow, rocks around the Billy Squire, big pound wow, big.
I feel like I'm trying to talk, being on a podcast, I'm trying to say interesting things. But I seem to like forget that, don't I?
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. Yeah.
This bit is for that, to try and get you like just to relax again. Because it comes on, the bot comes in and it goes recording, and then you're like, oh god, I'm now in formal mode. And then it's like, no, we'll do the preamble bit so that by the time we get to talking about, you know, the music bit, you can hopefully be a little bit more relaxed. But I realise it's hard to kind of mentally get past, to be fair.
I mean, you're quite experienced podcasters now, so like, how long have you been doing this for?
Yeah, doing it for like a year. 9 months. We'll be approaching our anniversary, which I'm gonna have to start like thinking of something special to do.
You could get all of your guests on. You could get everyone who's ever been on one to do like some mega like
that would be horrific.
Sounds like chaos, but yeah.
The amount of talking over each other that would happen.
It's hard enough as it is.
I guess everyone could take turns reading out a pre-designated paragraph. But I don't know I don't know how that would be particularly fun, to be fair. Not sure what the topic would even necessarily be on. Oh, maybe we could form like a super group and like perform covers of songs from every album.
We've got quite a broad spectrum of like musical ability between everyone, I would say. I could get my saxophone out.
Oh, I didn't know you played saxophone.
I used to. Well, when I was at school, I did, yeah.
Isn't that one of the hardest instruments?
No, I think it's probably one of the easier ones. I think because it's got quite a low. It's not as difficult as like the clarinet. I would say that, or like the oboe.
Don't you have to have like good like breath?
Yeah, you have to have quite like with breathing and you know the like way that your mouth is like around the mouthpiece and stuff. Explains it very well. Yeah, I used to play when I was at school. I went through the grades and then I stopped after as soon as when you get to grade 8 or something. You just like right, I've done it now.
Did you get to grade 8?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Holy shit! What?
How do we
not know this?
Why do we not know this?
I know. I
guess I never asked about instruments. I guess I just assumed that like, unless people are there like actively showing off their instrument, they don't play one. You know, like how Angus is always there with his guitar. Like, look at me, I play guitar. And then you're like, oh, I guess Angus plays the guitar, but I guess because you never like.
I've never.
You never. I'll just give you a little tune, play out a little tune for the pre-drinks.
Yeah, you need to get
serenade you all.
One moment, let me just whip out my saxophone.
To be fair, that would be a very classy, very cool pre-drinks.
I think it would be very classy, 100%.
Yeah.
I just needed someone to accompany me on the piano. That's what I'd need, and maybe a singer.
I did like grade 3 on the piano, so I can throw my grade 3 piano in with your grade 8 saxophone.
That would work.
We're putting together a little bit of like a musical ensemble.
What about you, Louis? What could you do?
I could organise it, I guess.
Conductor.
Yeah, I mean, I did a little bit of guitar, like way back in the day, like primary school, and then I think I gave it up because it was too heavy to carry to school with me every day, and I just couldn't be bothered. So I was defeated by my own laziness, and also probably this kind of like irrational fear of being bullied by people for carrying a guitar to school. So
like
it's not very cool, is
slip
it?
through.
The cool ones, isn't it?
It straddles this line between, oh, you can play guitar, that's so cool, and oh, you're learning guitar, you nerd. Like, I don't know. I think if you're already good at it,
be able to do it.
Yeah, you need to have like that kind of. You need to have secretly practiced and be good.
Yeah, it's never very fun to go through that learning process, is it?
Would you be able to just like pick up a saxophone now?
No, I would.
Would you be quite rusty, or?
I would be extremely rusty. I don't think it would take me a lot to.
Because this thing, I think if you get to grade 8, you must like remember some of it.
I think I'd have to do a few hours of practice, definitely. But I reckon I could pick it up fairly quickly if I put my mind to it. But
did you enjoy doing it?
I did. Like, I think I liked the end result. The practice was always a bit like dull and stressful, and not. It was like laborious because you're having to practice like an hour and a half a day. I think I liked the end result was always cool when you can like play something quite well.
Show off an actual skill.
Yeah, but I never did any like performing or anything like that. I was always like at home.
Right, got it. Yeah. I was going to ask if you like maybe part of like some kind of band.
Yeah, I used to when I was in like secondary school. But then by the time I got to like 6 and moved on to like 6,
no time for that.
It becomes a bit more of a drag, doesn't it? And like it's just
you want to be doing other things at that point.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you don't really like realize the value of until you get a bit older. You're like, oh no, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. There's definitely a long list of things that you're like, I either wish I'd committed to more as a kid or wish I'd appreciated more when I was younger. When you were just like, it's easier to learn at that age and you absorb knowledge more. Like at the time you're there like, oh, I can't be bothered to like put any time into that. I want to be doing all the other fun stuff. And now we're adults. We're like, oh man.
Yeah, we
wish
want to
I'd
go back
persevered
and do
with
other things, don't we?
I'd love to have all this free time to do all these skills.
Speaking
and learn.
French or something, like it's such a drag when you're doing it, and then like, damn, I wish I could speak another language.
So easy saying all of that after the fact, though, isn't it? Because you don't have to do it at that point. Like, it's There's plenty of things I'd have loved to have done. It's just that, actually putting the time in would have been fucking dreadful.
Yeah, I know I'm like with putting time into things as well. So I know even if I went back in time, I wouldn't necessarily actually change. Like, you like to think you would. But...
Speaking another language is like the biggest one for me. I would love to be able to like speak another language, but I just can't. Can either of you speak another language?
No. GCSE French.
Yeah.
Man, this would have been a perfect spot if we had like a sponsorship from one of those like language apps to be like, Babbel is they're all sponsored by one of these. If you're looking to learn I'm
going to build up a portfolio of us like doing free advertising. So there we go. We've just demonstrated yet again how seamless we'd be. We're
just so versatile, so seamless. Naturals at it. Naturals at shilling.
Expert podcasters.
Highly experienced,
I've got one more question on the sax. Sorry, we've spent a lot of time on the sax, but was it jazz or classical or?
I was doing classical, which is quite odd for a saxophone because I preferred. So I played the soprano saxophone, so that's the same key as the clarinet. I think it's B. I think it's B flat, but I can't remember. I'd have to clarify. So that's like it's the same key as the clarinet. So I preferred playing like clarinet, and obviously the clarinet is more classical music. So I preferred playing that style of music, which is quite odd because in like orchestras and that kind of thing, they don't have saxophones really. It's like bands and like jazz bands and stuff that would have saxophones. But I've always leaned towards the more classical side.
That's a cool kind of crossover, though, then, if you're sort of playing like a jazz-like instrument in classical context. That's just...
It's very unique, yeah.
You ever had like a bit of like a jazzy flair to a classical, or is it... I don't think I've ever heard... I'm sure maybe I have without realising, but I don't think I've ever heard a classical song with a saxophone in it. So I don't know if you've got any recommendations.
Oh, God.
I'd be very curious to hear, like actually hear what it sounds like in... Because I can only picture it as...
There was a whole movement of like crossover jazz, I think, in like I want to say like early 60s or something, maybe like late 50s, which was like, I think it was like third wave music or something. I can't remember. But if you look it up on Wikipedia, I'm pretty sure like third wave music or something on those lines. And it's just like people merging classical and jazz. I'm not sure how well it worked a lot of the time. I think that happens a lot of the times. Like sometimes you can get genius when you merge two things together that aren't supposed to go together. Sometimes it's just what you expect. Just a collision.
Either of you guys got anything exciting lined up for the weekend ahead, or the week ahead, or the weeks ahead? Big trips, little trips.
My great aunt's 80th birthday party on Saturday.
Oh wow!
Think of that what you will.
Is that a big family get together?
It's relatively big, I guess. So I'm driving back to Suffolk tomorrow. I've had last few weekends have been it's quite wholesome. Last few weekends have been quite busy, I guess. Seeing Rory and sort of I've been in London a bit, so quite looking forward to having a weekend of taking it easy.
Will it be like extended family? Will there be any like awkward small talk or anything
Probably
like that?
lots,
Or is it going to be like,
probably
yeah.
quite a lot, yeah. And not a lot of alcohol, so it's it's going to be like quite
a tempered event?
yeah.
We
I've got some big
will
drinking
need those every
events
so often,
ahead.
though, I guess. That's
Oh yeah.
totally talk to Toby there.
No, it's all right. I was just saying I've got some big drinking events ahead, which I feel like I'm not necessarily entirely prepared for. Because I'm going to King's Day going to Amsterdam next Wednesday for the King's Day and the Thursday. And then on the Friday, I've got like a weekend away with like colleagues. There's like a trip to Torremolinos, which is in it's a bit rogue. It's like an incentive. The team did like hit some targets or whatever, and the company's like, oh, you get this bonus, but you can't get it in the form of like cash. You get it in the form of like you get it in cash, but you can't spend it on anything you want. It has to be spent on like a team building trip. And a couple of people were like, oh, well, we can use it, and if we actually like get it now, we can get tickets, like flights and all-inclusive hotel out in Spain, but for like 2 days. So it's literally like a quick weekend away. So I'm back to back doing King's Day, which is like a full day of drinking in Amsterdam. And then I guess I'm going to have to tactically stop at some point in the afternoon because my flight back to the UK is on like the Friday morning straight after. And then, so I fly back to Manchester, get the train to East Midlands, and then fly out of the East Midlands to Torremolinos. Probably having a pint at the airport, and then that Friday night is like, let's go straight out. So I'm kind of like, do I need to preserve some energy for that? Because that's definitely going to kill me. Thank God that the Monday after that is a bank holiday, because I'm definitely going to need to just like curl up. I'm not ready for this kind of stuff. Like since university, that was the time for continuous drinking. Now it's like, oh my God, I'm going to die.
It does feel a lot, doesn't it?
I haven't heard of that before.
Yeah, so King's Day is in the Netherlands. They celebrate the King's birthday. I'm not sure how much of it is celebrating his actual birthday because they care, and how much of it is just like, oh, it's a really traditional excuse to get pissed as a nation. But they do a lot of like celebrations, and they all wear like orange and stuff. And we went last year because I've got a friend who lives out in Amsterdam, and we were able to like get on. We all like piled on a boat and got to go around like I guess they're kind of like canals and stuff in Amsterdam, which was like a really, really fun experience. Bit of a dodgy toilet situation. There's basically just like a hole in one end of the boat. You just have to kind of squat over, and everybody just crowds around you to try and block the view. So, but other than that, it's definitely a great laugh, because you're just going around basically on like a little open top barge almost, and there's loads of other people about on the river, so every time you go under a bridge or whatever, like you go past someone, everyone's like cheersing each other, and you just get nice and pissed. And it's a good laugh, but it's very patriotic, and there's definitely like a sense that, oh, it'd be kind of weird if like people did it in England. It would definitely feel a little bit like racist if everyone's dressed in the flag's colours and cheersing the king. Although I guess, the coronation is kind of a similar energy. So
yeah, that's like, there's going to be a whole national feat around that, I suppose.
Either of you two planning to do anything for the coronation?
Nah.
Oh, no, I am, no. That's really unpatriotic of us, but no, I just
don't care.
It's a bank holiday, isn't it? I'll take that. That's
yeah, you
good.
Celebrate by relaxing.
As long as they don't make it, I want them to like introduce a new permanent bank holiday, but I'll be a little bit miffed if it is on that day, because
more like permanently.
Yeah, it's just like overcrowding May with bank holidays, isn't it? Like, I mean, it's a good time to
it's a bit
have
overkill.
holidays, but need one in autumn or something. I think autumn doesn't really have any, right? Put one in there.
Yeah.
We need like a September bank holiday or an October bank holiday.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Bank holiday on my birthday in October would be very nice. I'll just put a request into the king.
Guy Fawkes could be like pretty good as well.
Oh yeah.
Although maybe a bit sectarian. It's a bit of like not that we really like dig into it very often, other than like in primary school. But it is a bit of like a Catholic bashing holiday when you really think about it. It's kind of, it's not a holiday, but like
but it's like fun, It's all in good jest.
Yeah, I guess so.
Look, I'm technically a Catholic. I'll allow it.
Yeah, okay.
I'll give it a pass
now, is it? Yeah.
As in, like, you know, from a Catholic background.
Right, okay.
I guess I'm technically like half and half because my mum's Catholic and my dad's Protestant, so I can give it the okay from both sides.
Best of both worlds.
The peacemaker we all needed.
Yeah.
Send him to Northern Ireland.
It's a real Romeo and Juliet, you know. Don't send me to don't get Ireland involved in this. That's a whole different thing. That's a whole separate. I'm just advocating for the allowing Guy Fawkes. It's not called Guy Fawkes Day. What's it called?
Okay, yeah.
Bonfire Night.
Yeah. What is it called, actually?
I think it's just Bonfire Night, right?
Not another name, like Guy Fawkes Day? Can you call it Guy Fawkes Day? Maybe not. I don't know.
Remember the 5th of November.
Just 5th of November as well. Like, if somebody says 5th of November, like, you'll know what you mean, I guess.
Okay, so 5th of November, new bank holiday.
Hannah and I are going up to Scotland this weekend, or for a week anyway. Like just about.
Inverness, Hannah said. Is that you in Inverness for the whole week?
Yeah, well, so nearish Inverness, like it's all like where my grandparents live and that. So it's.
Are you visiting the grandparents while you're there, or is it just like a?
I am going to see them. Yeah, not staying with them, but going to see them, and it'll be my first time seeing them like in person for a very long time, far too long.
Nice.
So that'll be really, really nice. And
will it be Hannah's first time meeting them?
It'll be Hannah's first time meeting them. She's met them like over video call.
Yeah.
As is kind of typical, I guess, nowadays.
Kind of a role reversal from the last time we spoke, because last time we spoke, you were nervous about meeting some of her family for the first time.
True. Yeah. That's we're doing a lot of sort of sharing all of that kind of. But like it feels like like more than just my grandparents as well. It's like that whole area. Like we'd go every single half-term holiday.
Oh, nice.
So it's like sharing a part of like your childhood almost.
Yeah.
So it does feel quite like quite an intimate thing. So it's a shame because the weather's been beautiful up there this week by the looks of it.
Yeah,
but,
all week. And then the weekend's gonna be miserable.
Yeah, a bit grim. So
I think we've all just been there, like we've all been sat at work, like gazing out the window, like, oh, it's so nice. And then obviously the weather report for the weekend and the week ahead is just garbage. As per, it's like school holidays all over again. You'd be sat in class, all beautiful weather outside, and then as soon as summer holidays, it's just like, oh no, it's raining. Lovely.
Louis, how was your? I think we've spoken about your ski holiday. How long ago was
that? Was back in February. No, it wasn't. End of January. Start of February. Bulgaria. Very unique. It's definitely fun though. I don't think it's something I'd recommend for you unless you've already been, but I think it's one of these places that like if you're really into your skiing, you'll probably find that it's not got quite enough ski slopes,
right?
Because it's quite small and they're very keen. They want to expand it, but the forest it's built around is like protected.
Right.
So I think you could
decision right there.
Yeah, because it's like this massive pine forest.
Protected.
But this is the thing; it wasn't protected when they built it. Like the USSR didn't protect it, and then since it's been there, there's kind of been this plan to. So the place is called Borovets, and there's been this plan to make super Borovets for like 20 years, and they've just like bumped up against like loads of like planning permission and stuff like that. But it's a really like fun little place. It's definitely like I would never recommend Bulgaria for like the cities, but I think if you're there like, oh, I quite fancy a cheap little ski getaway, then Borovets is a pretty decent place to go, and it's definitely like an interesting experience. It's not it's not the Alps, but it's interesting. It's good snow and it is good routes. But I could imagine that if you were like a really competent skier, which I think you are, Tash, is like at least you go a lot. I don't know. I've never seen you ski, so I don't know how good you actually are.
If anybody who's been skiing with me heard you say that, Louis, they'd literally be pissing themselves. Am I allowed to say that? Yes, I am, not lying.
Yeah, you are.
Because I think given the amount of times I've been, you'd expect me to be a lot better than I am. That's what I tend to say.
Right.
I can get down anything, but
are you fast or are you slow? Like, are you too fast or good?
I'm quite slow, I would say, overall.
Right.
Say, I went skiing with Rory and his family like a month ago, and Rory's like quite a lot better than I am.
Whereabouts did you go with Rory?
We went to La Plan in France.
Oh.
So it was really nice weather.
Plenty of snow.
Loads of snow, yeah.
Nice, yeah. Because there was a bit of a snow crisis at the start of the year, wasn't
Yeah,
there?
there
Like,
was,
loads of places just didn't have any.
Yeah, we had like the benefit of nice weather, but there'd also been like a massive like dump of snow like a few days before we got there, and then when we were there, it was like a mix of really, really sunny days and then like quite a lot of snow as well. So I think had we gone like a week later, that it would have just been like quite bad ski conditions really. But when we went, yeah, we really lucked out with it. It's the first time I've been since my season, so 3 years since I've been. So
which is also the origin story of Tash and Rory. Isn't
it is indeed
that ski season.
Yeah. Oh, the funny thing was is that we lived. Like, do you remember in Newcastle when I lived on Sunbury Avenue?
Mm-hmm.
So he lived literally like 3 doors down. And
no way, really?
Yeah, he lived like 2 or 3 doors down from me, and I never ever saw him. And we always laugh about it now because like it's mad. You just like never see never.
You must have like been at the supermarket together
I think
at the
I
same
saw him
time
once
and
in
never
Tesco's.
realised it. Yeah.
And then I saw him once as I was like looking through his window. Well, not in a weird way. Like I was just walking down the pavement.
Peering through.
He never saw me.
You and
but I
you'll
saw
be
him
mine.
all the time. I saw everything.
That was really creepy. Oh no. So big like windows, right? Like looking into like people's living room.
Yeah, you couldn't help but look
windows,
in, you know.
and I just couldn't help but like turn my face and just see
invite
if he was in.
Oh man.
No, you're right. For the record, like the windows in Newcastle were quite large. I'll give you that defence.
Particularly the houses that we like. Are they Victorian houses? Maybe I don't know. They're like 100 years old, and they all had the same like big bay window at the front and like no blinds or whatever. So yeah, it was just prime opportunity.
Prime stalking.
That'll hold up in court.
Really hard not to. You ever think that though when you're just walking down the street, like, and someone, it's really tempting to look into people's windows just to see, not in a weird way, just to see what the, like the setup is, what the furniture is,
see what the life is. Yeah. It's one of those things, especially like when you've got those houses that are like right on the street, like they're not set back at all, and it's really like I know what you mean. It's really difficult not to like nosy because you're like obviously they'll see me peering in because they're just sat literally a meter away watching TV, but you can't help but just kind of try and get a little glimpse at like ooh what's their layout like, or like what like, what are they watching on TV? Oh, that's a interesting choice of movie or whatever. Or even just getting like sometimes you do walk past someone's house and it's just like, oh, I would not decorate like that's a little bit chaotic for me. Or sometimes it's a very classy one. It happens more now, I think, that now that it's like later, people don't like close their blinds and stuff as much.
Definitely.
So you can definitely have an unintentional. It's definitely unintentional. Nosy into all the.
Whilst we're on the topic of windows, I have a chronic like habit of like the other way around. I have a lack of awareness of the fact that people might look into windows, and I think it just means that throughout my life, I'm pretty sure I just dread to think the number of people I've flashed, basically. My dad actually used to have his bedroom when he was living in Morecambe back when he was a student. It's like the seaside town next to Lancaster. His bedroom looked onto like the local rickety kind of fairgrounds. Like one of these proper shoddy. And there's this like mini roller coaster that went right past his window. So he'd open up the blinds. I mean, at least that's how he tells the story anyway. I don't know how he'll be able to write it or whatever and confirm how embellished that is. But
that makes it quite an iconic view. And I imagine quite a lovely view coming up the roller coaster, and then all of a sudden you're presented with
bollock naked.
just getting out of bed or getting ready for work. Just like, no, not a care in the world. I was I've been trying to like think how I could link some element of our conversation to an ABBA song to steer us onto the ABBA conversation, and I was going to go with Summer Night City while we were talking about how, like, now that the days are longer you can see more people's windows, but then you just took it to a roller coaster one, and I can't think of a roller coaster ABBA song. Is there one?
Windows? I feel like staring out the windows of my mind would be like the name of an ABBA song, to be honest. So
there we go.
Let's just count that as the
that'll do. A fictional a fictional ABBA song.
More of something else entirely.
Today we're kind of covering the ABBA Voyage experience as through the eyes of Tash. Who? When did you actually go and see it, Tash? It's a few weeks ago now.
Not last weekend, the weekend before. The bank holiday,
Nice.
Easter weekend, bank holiday weekend.
Is it still fairly fresh in your mind?
I would say so, yeah.
Did it leave a lasting impression?
Absolutely, yeah.
Was it mind-blowing?
Yes, it was. It really was. I was a bit dubious, I guess, about what it was going to be because I didn't want it to be some sort of like really like tacky, shitty like tribute act, right? So
Yeah.
I was a bit like, what's going to be? You know, what's this going to be like? And then you get there. I'll just kind of like talk through it. So like it's in Stratford, like Pudding Mill Lane. So it's like so far east. It's like in the middle of nowhere. So you like,
and is it always there? Is that like, does it have to be in a certain location for it to work?
Arena. So the arena it's called the
Christ.
ABBA Arena. Yeah, it's very, very exciting. And it's purpose built for ABBA. So like nothing else is on there. You know, they can't be anywhere else. And you know, capacity of like 3,000, so quite small, I would say. And kind of like get off, and there's like some food stands around, and it's quite like, oh, like where are we going? And then you see a few people dressed in like 70s outfits on the tube, and you're like, yeah, we're obviously all going to the same place. And you kind of go into this big like open plan, like I guess it's like the box office is what you'd call it, you know, people selling programs and like ticket, people doing like the wristbands for your, you know, your tickets and stuff. And they're like really strict about no photography, no videos. So they've said that like several times. And yeah, people who've, you know, like my friends who I went with, like one of their friends had posted a video on Instagram and it had been like taken down straight away. And you like I hadn't seen anything before, like any photos or any videos. And I think because they want the experience to be the same for everyone. Yeah. And then you kind of go through this like tunnel, and it goes on for quite a long time, you know, with these like cool graphics, and it's like neon lights and everything, and it's really kind of like, oh, this is cool.
Oh, it's almost like a Disney ride. Like you've got this kind of warm up bit that kind of gets you into the mindset and
it's
the world of
music
it
as well, and like it's kind of cool vibes. It's like
I assume it's playing ABBA music.
I can't remember. I think it must have been. And then when you go into the arena, so we were on the dance floor. So there's basically the seating layout is you've got like the dance floor, which is kind of straight in front of the stage, and then kind of around the dance floor there's these dance booths. I think are seated, but people can sort of stand up and dance if they want. And then kind of you've got I guess it's like the dress circle when you go to like the theatre. It's like the circle at the back where people are sitting. Obviously, we want to go on the dance floor because
I can't imagine ever wanting to go and see ABBA and not wanting to be on the dance floor.
Yeah, right.
It seems like an odd choice to go for seated. I guess if you can't dance, maybe it's like somewhere to hide.
You're so bad at dancing.
Yeah, you know. You can just like tap your foot along to it in the dark.
Yeah. We were like sat on the floor. So we got there maybe like half an hour early. So we were just sat on the floor kind of waiting for something to happen. And then they have like a few, you know, announcements like, oh, the show's going to start in 15, 20 minutes, whatever. Reminder, no photography, no videos. And then it kind of goes dark and it all lights up. And these like, they're 3D like human-sized avatars, basically. They like rise up and they start singing. I think The Visitors was the first song. And to be fair, it wasn't a song like contrary to popular belief, I don't listen to ABBA like all day, every day. I know everyone in our group probably thinks I do, but I don't. So I didn't know like some of the songs I didn't know on the set list. I will just say that. Obviously some I knew like off the top of my head, like knew every single lyric. Some I didn't.
Yeah.
And it was so like, whoa, like immersive, and like this is because they looked so realistic. That's what's weird. And they were dressed in, you know, clothing. I don't know how to. Their outfits were so cool. They were like 3D. They were dancing. They were talking.
Were they like youthful versions, or were they like?
Yeah, this
right.
was
okay.
So, I feel like I'm getting so excited talking about it, but it's just because I'm still in a state of bewilderment, I guess.
Yeah.
It was when they were in their prime, so like it was the 70s, right? So
right.
That's when they have taken that's how they have built these avatars, if that's the right phrase, built them. But that's how they did it. So it's you know when you go to like a festival or like a concert and there's like 2 big screens on the side of the stage so you can like see the artist close up. They had that as well, so you could see their faces and you see their kind of like face expressions really close up.
Yeah.
There were like moments where you could tell that they weren't real, but the overwhelming.
Were they like solid, or could you kind of like see through
That's
them?
what was
Because in my head
weird.
it's like holographic, but like I actually genuinely can't wrap my head around the technology, and it's especially weird that there's no like photographs and videos like you said. So I wonder if like they don't show up properly on that kind of stuff. But then if they've got the big screens, then maybe they do.
Yeah.
But it's one of these things I'm just so curious that at some point I might have to just go and see the show, like just to get a sense of like, did they feel like they were like presently there? Like, were they like solid? Like, yeah.
No, if you want to go again, you don't even have to ask me twice. I'm there.
You'll be straight there.
It's I don't think. No, they're not. From like I've done a bit of like reading about it since, and some sources have said it's a screen. I don't know if it is because holograms they're just lights really, like from the floor, right? They're not. It's not a screen, but I don't think there's no like physical presence. They look like there is physical presence, but there isn't, and I that's what really was so mind-boggling. Was if you were to go up onto this stage, like what would you just be able to like walk through them?
Walk through them, yeah.
But I think you would be able to, and it's probably one of the reasons they don't want anyone to film it or take photos because it would ruin.
Yeah, I feel like that would be so like mindfucky if you walk through them. What would that do to the human brain? I've just walked through a person.
What would it do to
Like a
avatars?
breakdown.
That's what everyone's calling them, avatars. That's what I was like.
That's true. Yeah, when somebody think of the avatars, there's
Whereabouts were you like positioned? Because this is the thing. Like in my head, I'm like, maybe it's like to do with viewing angles, right? So they look really. But like the fact that did it feel like the arena is built so that everybody's kind of on this certain angle, or was it, or is it more? I don't know. Is it more to it than that? Like, were you all contained on a little like slice, or was it quite spread out?
We were all like around, like as you'd expect in like a normal like theatre auditorium. Everyone was kind of just like around. So you've got like the main stage in the front, and then everyone's just around. So I don't think there was. We were quite near the front as well, so I don't think that there was any different, perspectives. Like they need people to be in a certain place. I didn't get that feeling. They had a live band as well, so there was like a 10-piece live band, and they were really cool. So there was like 3 vocalists, there was drummer, guitarist, everything, saxophonist as well.
Nice.
And that really made it seem it just the whole thing felt live. It really did. They felt real because they were.
That's incredible.
What's interesting is that they were doing the. When you go to a gig and the artist will be talking in between the songs. We're doing a bit
like a bit pit.
They were doing that as well. They were talking. They were.
What the fuck?
Yeah, they were like.
I didn't expect that to be included.
Yeah, so they were like disappearing off stage, and then for some of the songs, like that only one of the vocalists sings, the rest would disappear. And then.
When you say disappear, did they like just
vanish?
Sink into the floor?
I don't know where they went, but I think they must have maybe they just like turned the. I don't know. I felt.
Like, did you see them like walk away, or did they just?
It was.
Emo.
They just pop.
It wasn't like bam, like they've gone. It was you could see them walk away, and they were kind of walking closer. They were walking around. They were dancing a lot as well, and. I think Benny is the guy who plays the keyboard, and Bjorn is the guy who plays the guitar. They were playing their instruments as well. So like the keyboard, like the piano, like keyboard was there. It was playing that, and then the guitar was there, and they were kind of walking. But they were just like moving around like normal people do.
That's incredible.
I don't understand how it's done.
The whole thing, I think. So it was like great expense. I think the whole thing cost 140 million to put together.
Bloody hell. Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the ticket for a moment there. I was like, I know you like
Tash
ABBA.
won the Euro Millions and then just blew it all on a single ABBA Live experience.
There's something that I thought that they did, but it doesn't sound like they do. Do they not become giant at some point? Is there not some moment where they're like I don't know why I'd got in my head that they were like larger than human sized.
They probably were, to be fair. I don't think we didn't become like massive, but they did become, I would say, slightly bigger than the normal human.
To
Interesting.
have more kind of stage
Yeah, I
presence,
think
maybe.
that might have been part of it, because they were wearing quite dramatic outfits. It's like, there was like, they had several different like costumes throughout the night.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there were like costume changes.
Yeah,
and stuff,
there's quite a few. It didn't like I read somewhere that like Dolce & Gabbana had done like the costumes, they designed the costumes, so that like it didn't seem tacky because they were quite nice, quite cool costumes.
Were they not doing the whole like sort of spacey kind of space chic? I don't know what to call it. Like on the posters, they look like they're
Yeah,
like,
is it
they've got
themed around
spacesuits
them
on.
being like alien-y space?
Oh yes, they had the spacesuits for a couple of songs. It was like some of the outfits were more kind of Greek god and goddess kind of themed. So there's a long white dress and like a headdress and stuff that they're wearing. There was quite a few. I would say they were probably like 4 or 5 outfit changes throughout the set. So quite a lot, and it was all very smooth and very. It wasn't.
Well, that's the thing. I think like because like Rona mentioned, like I can see how like a technology like this, you could do a lot of like really interesting, cool stuff with this kind of tech where you couldn't do it with like a real live performer. So like while I'm kind of like weirded out by it, and in a way I'm like, oh, would I want to see like a hologram version of like other artists? I think it could be this really cool like, I don't know, augmented reality thing where at some point you're watching some performer and then they just suddenly become like, like supersized Ant-Man, and they're just like towering over the audience, or they have like an instant costume change, or like some kind of weird magical thing could just happen on stage. So like I think it's a really interesting like experiment in a way. I don't know if ABBA see it as an experiment, because I know like you're saying like it costs them a pretty penny, right? But the idea is that it goes on indefinitely, like forever, like even 100 years from now in theory ABBA Voyage will still be going.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of the plan.
It becomes like we get these musicals that like never stop running. I actually can't think of any now, but I feel like there's famous musicals that have just had continuous runs since like the 50s or whatever,
I don't know if you guys have seen like recently there've been some artists getting very upset because basically people have been doing like AI renditions of their music.
yes,
sounds.
Yeah.
So there's like a Drake and a Weekend collaboration that's been blowing up on TikTok. So imagine if you had something like the ABBA Voyage, and obviously you've got this set list of all these like songs that they do. But imagine you're in this kind of weird future where all of the members of ABBA have now like passed away, but ABBA Voyage is still going because it's just these holograms. And then they're using AI to generate new ABBA songs that they perform at this concert. Like this kind of level of like
possible.
Is that like there's so many like questions of like, is that okay? I guess if you as the artist give it like the go ahead, but there'll be artists who like have already died, like Elvis, who like people will want to, and Michael Jackson and whatever. There's already been like a Michael Jackson hologram, but I don't think that was as like revolutionary as the ABBA one. I don't know, to be fair. Maybe that's all part of the evolution.
It's interesting you say that, Louis, because I was reading somewhere, and how the producers did it, or the production team did it, was the ABBA band members were observed for like 5 weeks. So they're all their measurements taken, their movements, their singing, their voices, and it was kind of pointed out that it was able to be so lifelike and so realistic because they were still alive. Whereas doing it with Elvis, or because obviously like Queen, I was thinking what other bands could they do this with, and like Queen is quite an obvious one, isn't there? And like maybe Fleetwood Mac, and obviously it would be difficult to do for someone like Freddie Mercury because he's dead.
But what if you did it? So you got the living members of Queen together, and then you got like for example Rami Malek acted Freddie Mercury, and obviously to act Freddie Mercury he did a lot of like he watched a lot of Freddie's live stuff and interviews and stuff. So Rami learned a lot of Freddie's mannerisms and stuff to kind of be him on screen. So imagine you get in the living members of Queen, and then you get in Rami Malek to be like the Freddie of the group, and then you record them for 5 weeks, and then you've probably got a close enough rendition because everyone who's then watching it after that fact won't know what Freddie, like, they wouldn't be able to tell because they've not seen Freddie Mercury alive. So they wouldn't necessarily be able to. And then you could get further down the line where you could be like, well, no one in living memory remembers how Elvis necessarily like acted. So as long as you've got like something that's close enough, that's like believable, and people will just accept that that's how he sang or how he performed. And you could also base it off like previous performances and stuff. There's like ways to, I think obviously the ideal is to get like living artists, but then it's definitely something that you could probably only see old like artists as they age out of it, being like, okay, now I'm going to let you make like an AI version of me or like a hologram version of me. But yeah, I don't know. There's just so many weird like implications of where it could go.
I just feel like the technology is already approaching good enough. Like at the moment, there's obviously a bit of that sort of uncanny vibe to a lot of this. But I mean, if it's able to keep progressing in the way that it has been just in the last few like months, it feels. I hadn't really thought about it, but I do actually feel like we're going to have a situation where, most classic artists are going to be sort of performing again. I don't know. Like,
it's going to be like with all this other media where it's like instead of making new things, it's just like, oh, let's re-release Twilight, let's re-release Lord of the Rings, let's re-release Harry Potter, whatever. It's going to be like, oh, we'll just re-release Queen. We don't need another big rock band, just re-release Queen.
Genuinely, I feel like sorry, I realise we've been talking about this for a while now, but like I hadn't even, I'm having like a mini crisis because like there's been a lot, I've been thinking, like everybody, I've been thinking a lot about AI lately. I hadn't considered the fact that like in relation to the conversations we've had around whether like musical development is slowing down, so to speak, and like I guess something that I'd always felt is like, oh, we're just waiting for like another technology to kind of like revolutionize music. But like if the technology that sort of revolutionizes it actually just doubles down on the fact that it's just constantly drawing from the past, right down to like reproducing like new songs based on old artists' songs, I feel like that would be successful as well. Like it would be successful, but it wouldn't be like progressive, I suppose. Anyway, I'm just having a crisis here. We can move on for this.
You mentioned like the uncanny valley. I just wanted to ask, like, Tash, did at any point while watching the show was like the uncanny valley triggered? Were you there like, ooh, that didn't feel quite human? Like, were you ever uncomfortable watching them?
Yeah, it didn't feel like, nothing was the only like slight thing maybe is that like when they were talking in between the songs, the crowd were all laughing, which is kind of weird in itself.
That is weird. Everyone
would be laughing, and then they would start talking quite quickly. Or, they don't wait for the laughter to die down. They're just moving on quite quickly because they don't know, because obviously it's not live. That's the only time that it didn't feel that they didn't feel like humans. And then, like I was saying earlier, the close-ups on the screen, sometimes you just it doesn't look quite real, but only if you were like staring at it. Like the overwhelming feeling was, this is real. These are real people.
So it never made you feel like uncomfortable?
No, not at all.
That's crazy.
And with that first one, I suppose with the second one, like they could probably improve that technology just to visually, like any slight visual imperfections they could probably improve. And the first one's more about like, it sounds like it didn't quite have crowd responsiveness, but you'd think that with the way AI is going, you could build in some degree of like responsiveness so that it can kind of like pause a little longer. Based on kind of audience reaction. Like it doesn't feel like, nothing feels impossible now, I guess. Like it feels kind of like we're very close to a lot of that. I mean, especially like if all of this kind of is happening with the already with this performance, it just sounds so futuristic.
I think that's the thing. It's just like it's so advanced already that it like it's a little bit mind-boggling, I think at first, when I first heard about ABBA Voyage, I was like, oh, it'll just be a gimmick almost. But the fact that it totally sold you while you it's crazy.
It's like even people in the audience, it wasn't that they were all dressed up in their like 70s ABBA costumes. It was like it wasn't tacky. It wasn't like like you said, gimmicky or just kind of like a bit naff. It was really good.
What was kind of like the age distribution of the audience and like the gender mix, was it?
It was quite mixed, I would say. Like,
Yeah.
nobody would have been out of place. The only people who I did think were a bit out of place were there were some like husbands or partners of like middle-aged women that had obviously been dragged along by their partners or wives, and they were just stood on the dance floor, like not dancing at all.
Well, they're the ones who should have been up in the seats back. If you're going to be on the dance floor, you've got to be dancing.
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, what the hell are you doing on dance floor if you can't dance? Like,
Was it like proper dancey? Was it like because you know how sometimes at a gig you kind of just jump up and down a bit, or was people like really getting like, you know, the flowy arms and the ABBA dancing?
Yeah, people were getting the flowy arms.
Nice.
Yeah, people were dancing. In fact, the friends I went with, we hadn't really got any like extras, and we wanted to get some like feather boas, and so we were like. So it was Easter Sunday, obviously, it's like nowhere's really open, and we were wandering around. My friend lives in Brixton, so sort of Brixton and Clapham, trying to get hold of like anywhere that would sell feather boas. And we went into this like hardware store thinking they might have some costumes, and we go, do you have feather boas? And he goes, no, I have a feather duster though. And I was like, not really the same, but thanks for your help. But in the end, we didn't need the cowboy hats and the feather boas. I think that, you know, it wasn't necessary. People were quite like dressed down, and a massive
I'd have loved it
mix.
if you'd have just got feather dusters anyway and just
Yeah, I thought that's where that was going to be.
dancing around with them and brushing people down.
There was a few people with them, but like people were dressed like people were quite like relaxed about it, I guess.
How long was the set then? Like
Only 90 minutes.
okay.
So, like a normal kind of big length, I suppose. I was expecting it to be longer, but 90 minutes because it wasn't all avatars. They had like one of the songs was just like anime, like on a screen. That's how they did that. I don't know why they did that, but that's what they did. And then like Waterloo, obviously they like won Eurovision back in the 70s with Waterloo. So for that, they just did the Eurovision performance that they did back then.
Oh, like they just played the video of it.
Yeah, played the video of it.
Weird.
Again, very kind of like normal and very like, oh, cool. This is cool.
It's interesting because like fundamentally it's almost the same watching the YouTube, like the video of when it happened versus watching holograms. Like both ways you're watching them like virtually, but I guess when you've gotten used to having these like presences on stage, it would definitely feel weird like just being switched over to a video.
Yeah, it was all very smooth and like seamless. And then the band came on and sang one song, and that was really nice. I thought that was really good to have like a live band.
Did it feel like, was there like a genuine difference in quality sound or something? Because I guess with the holograms and stuff, it's them singing, but it's obviously like just the songs playing out the speakers almost. Whereas when the band was on, did it feel a little bit? Was there any difference really? I guess is the question. Did it feel different?
I think I would need to go again because I think the first time is so like wow.
You're just so overwhelmed by it.
Yeah. Whereas I think to get into that kind of like sound quality and what are the bands playing?
Yeah.
Because obviously they were playing throughout, but I don't know. The vocals were taken, I'm guessing, from way back when. I guess
in a way as well, like you just ruin it for yourself if you're there like trying to overanalyze the whole thing. Obviously, you were there to actually enjoy the show and like take it in.
But I think when you leave, it makes you think, oh, I wonder how did they do that, or what did they do there? Or, that was really interesting. And at the end, they had the final song, or like one of the final songs. They had the whole, all the people who'd been involved in producing it, like standing on the stage, and I thought that they were real, like they'd all come on stage, and then my friends were like, no, like that's a video of like the real people, obviously. Like,
what the hell?
That's a video of them, and I was like, what? Are you serious?
What?
And I was like, this is just
boggling.
And then the ABBA as they are now then come on at the end,
right,
in avatar form as well, and I was like, oh my god, they're here. This is ridiculous. Like this is just too much now. And then I was obviously told, no, they are avatars as well. They aren't real. Like
so
random
bizarre.
Sunday night in April, like they're not going to be there. And that's what's so like, are they real? Are they not? And it's
you can't trust it at all.
It was a bit sad though at the end because like it makes you realise that like they're not. When you see them, as they are now, they're obviously all in their 70s, and it kind of like it had quite a poignant like the cyclical nature of these. I don't know, it just felt quite, we were all quite subdued on the tube back. We were quite like, oh, that was quite sad at the end, I think, because you realise that they're not together anymore and that they're all quite old.
Yeah. And you've just been watching them in their prime.
Yeah,
and then,
yeah. And then you see
and then they've come out and go, oh, here's a reminder that we're not.
It's a smack in the
You're all
face,
gonna
isn't
grow
it?
old.
That's like, yeah, death comes to us all.
Yeah, literally.
And you've not even got like the sort of 60 years or whatever that they've had to kind of like process that development. Instead, it all just happens at once. You're lurched into it. That's enough for an existential crisis as well. Like if all the kind of computer generated stuff didn't do it enough, that's
just a sudden shocking fast forward.
Yeah, it did feel like that.
Was there like an element as well where you're like, oh, they've come on stage, oh, it's not really them? Does it feel like I guess because you know what you're buying, like you know what you're going to, they're not there. But in a way, did it feel weird that they weren't there? Like, does it feel like, they've not come out to see us? Like, we've gone to, I don't know.
I think it felt like they were there.
Okay.
That's what was weird. And the crowd are responding. Like, my problem with ABBA is that a lot of their songs are really just like drunken dancing songs, aren't they? And it's like, a lot of them are quite overplayed, but people responded in the way that they would have done if ABBA were there. I think like everyone was dancing. The response from the crowd was as though it was a live performance.
So, like, were people like screaming and being like, "Oh my god!" Like,
I think there was
I love you.
Like, whoa. Oh, there wasn't any I love yous, but there were a few. Oh, wow, at the start, and then everyone was dancing and singing to like Mamma Mia and Dancing Queen and that kind of song. But
I was going to say, it seems like the set list, just having listened through it before, was very nicely paced, because that isn't like important for a performance. Like the set list kind of takes you on a bit of an emotional journey, and you've got to carefully pace those highs and those lows just to keep up the tempo as much as anything else. But I thought it came across like they did that really well. I don't know whether you felt the same actually being there, experiencing it at the time. I mean, it even got me hyped just listening to it at my desk. And I've actually not historically been as big an ABBA fan as perhaps most people are. I've got more and more into them over the years, and there's a lot of fond memories. But
a lot of
I was still bopping at my desk.
Yeah. And if that got you hyped, then I think my life is like complete now, honestly. I would say I completely agree. They did the songs, the order of the songs obviously is quite important. Like you said, it's going to take you on like a journey. So it started kind of like suspenseful and like, whoa, like what is this? And the first two songs aren't really very popular songs. Like I said, I didn't even know the first one. And then it kind of built up in the kind of beginning, I guess, and then it kind of died down a bit, and they had like slightly slower paced ones and more like emotional ones, I guess, and then built up again in the end. But they didn't, so quite a lot of their like big hits they didn't include, and I don't know why they did that, because I think it's good, because if their target market is not only going to be like die-hard ABBA fans. They need to appeal to everyone, otherwise they're just not going to sell like tickets, right? So I think they did that quite well, so that it wasn't like just banger after banger of like late months like dancing. I think that they did that quite well. They did miss a few of the big ones. I think it felt nicely paced.
You feel like a voyage.
Yeah.
Were there any like what were the really glaring omissions? Can you remember? Because
Super Trooper.
Stupid. Oh my god, yeah.
Shocking.
I think that's the only one.
I feel like that could have fit in fairly well with because I feel like there's that kind of this uptick around like Gimme 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 and Voulez-Vous. Like that feels like a high energy part of the set there. I feel like you could have slotted Super Trooper in there. Just add another 5 minutes in.
Actually, interestingly, they ended on "The Winner Takes It All," I think, which is one of the sort of sadder songs, I guess.
I did notice, on the set list, that they've just got 3 what I would consider like classic closing tracks. You could have ended on any of Thank You for the Music, Dancing Queen, and The Winner Takes It All. Any one of those you could have ended on. So it feels like you're really getting that kind of triple whammy of like sad but also kind of beautiful swaying songs, seeing them out. I thought they clearly doubled down on their like let's leave an emotional impact at the end.
I think that's why we were left feeling quite subdued.
Yeah, I can see that. It is quite a melancholic song because it's a breakup song, isn't it? It's I'm trying to remember the lyrics now.
I think so.
Yeah, that's kind of heavy. Also, is that another case of like it was a breakup song and it was two members within the band? Am I making that up?
Yeah, so they were like two couples. They all got married at one point.
To each other.
Yeah, so Benny married Frida, who's like the redhead, and Bjorn married Agneta, who's the blonde one.
What the fuck?
They were married for like I
did not know this.
I did some research before I came up because I thought, oh god, I don't know any of their like anything like this. I need to learn it a bit more. They were married. So one couple were married for 8 years. The other couple were married for 3. It must have just been a marriage of convenience, right? Maybe not there.
Like, well, the other two are getting together. So.
May as well. I think that's about when they died. I think they broke up in the early 80s, or did they last longer than that? When all the marriages
So Winner Takes It All is presumably about one of those breakups. I'm gonna fact check this.
I mean, I've always found like it's like with Fleetwood Mac, like I don't really understand how they managed to have this emotional breakup, write an incredibly emotion-fueled album or song, write it together, perform it together, release it together, perform it live at some point together, and then just like there's so much like heavy emotional fuel there to just kind of like I don't know, it's crazy. I don't think I'd be able to personally like pull that off, but you know, you do end up with a pretty banging song from it. So
yeah, apparently they denied it was explicitly about the divorce, but then later admitted that the heartache informed the song. So the lyrics explicitly less so, but the vibe of I mean it's got to be, hasn't it? It's always kind of hard to be when these artists like go through something really traumatic and then they write a song about that exactly.
And it's not about that.
But it's not about that.
And then the lyric in the song is like, "Oh, it's exactly about the thing you think it is."
Yeah.
Like, all right, yeah.
It's like an artist who like drops their phone down the toilet and then the lyrics are like, "I just missed that phone. That phone brought me so much joy."
It makes me think of that Key and Peele sketch where like they're interviewing like a rapper and he's been rapping about shooting someone and burying the body and he's like, nah, I didn't really though. And it's like, well, it really conveniently lines up with what actually happened. It's like, it's just artistic license, mate.
Yeah, or to quote the Doom song, rap snitches telling all their business, sit in the court, be their own star witness. So proud of that one.
ABBA snitching on their own emotional turmoil. I wonder who the winner was. Who did take it all in the end?
Well, that's what they don't want us to think. Apparently, it's a very amicable.
There were no winners and losers. Yeah, it was very. I'm sure. Maybe that's why they opted to spend 150 million on holograms, because they were like, I just don't want to interact with you in the flesh ever again.
Well, that's a bit sadder.
Yes. On a lighter note, were there any particular songs that, I mean, if the Winner Takes It All left you on a bit of like a downer at the end, what was like the highlight? What was like the best song of the evening, or like best combos?
The band sang one song. So As Your Mother Knows, the one that the band did, and that was really good because they were all doing like their own like little bits in it, and that was really fun.
Was that the highlight for you then?
It was, I think, because the band was so good, and it definitely was, and everyone was like crazy, like dancing. But I think Dancing Queen is a classic, and that was fun. And like Mamma Mia as well. I mean, they're pretty.
I think it's like a law in the UK that Dancing Queen gets played at fairs every night.
That's the problem. It's that they're just overplayed. I think they're quite good songs, and I just
they are.
They're just massively overplayed by like hen parties and like groups of drunk middle-aged women. Like that's the problem.
Well, this is the thing. Like Ronan, I feel like I've never really been like super into ABBA, but this is one of those occasions where like you sent us the set list, and there were ones going through, and I'm glad you were like, oh, I didn't even know the Visitors, because I was like, I have no idea. But even just like you scroll through and you just see the name of an ABBA song, you see like Mamma Mia, Gimme Gimme Gimme, like, and immediately the chorus is in your head, and you can't get it out for the rest of the day. So they are just constantly present.
In this instance, it is actually they're being overplayed, and the number of memories, and also like a weird sense of like, because it feels like a weirdly British thing. I don't even know whether it is, but just the level of obsession with ABBA does feel somehow very British, and so almost like the shared cultural identity of it, like it's kind of all of that has made me over the years warm more and more to ABBA, to the point of actually, like, I think I'd have once said I don't like them, now I'd say I like them. Yeah, I mean it could be, but I'm gonna say it here. I'm gonna say it proud. I like ABBA.
Oh my god, they're from Stockholm.
Yeah, I think that's...
Oh my god, it makes so much sense.
It's all fitting together.
I don't know if they're like weird. Like, yes, you're right. Like, being like English is definitely like loving ABBA is like a massive part of our like cultural identity. I think like if an ABBA song is played, it's always like one of the last songs at a wedding or like party or fairs, for instance. I don't know if it's the same across. I don't even know if it's the same in Sweden.
Yeah, this is what I was going to ask.
English as well, so.
I feel like we need to like. Do we have any Europeans that we can ask? Do any Europeans listen? First of all,
Louis, you have the stats. Do any Europeans listen?
I don't think many Europeans listen. So,
what about that
if
one
there is
Japanese
anyone out
dude?
there, Japanese dude, write in, let us know. Does ABBA have any significant cultural impact in Japan? And anyone in Europe? What is the vibe? Because like in the UK, they're everywhere. Like Tash said, like hen parties, weddings, funerals, pub nights, club nights. Yeah, like
ABBA played at their funeral. I probably will have played at my funeral, but who else?
Yeah, I've been to a funeral where Dancing Queen was the song that the casket was brought into. You know, there's these emotional connections that people.
I think it's like a sad song was Dancing Queen. Wow, I mean, that's
but it's
yeah.
It's always like, oh, it's a song that they loved and they danced to and it represented them.
Oh, that's nice.
And then
yeah.
I might be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure my nana's funeral had an ABBA song, either that or like a Bee Gees song, but it was like one of the slower ones of one of those two. But it was like, yeah, one of those kind of like artists that you'd associate with upbeat, like disco-y tunes. But then it was quite a somber tune. But I can't.
I guess it depends what kind of funeral, because sometimes you're going for like a funeral where you're like, oh yeah, let's keep it like very like low key and somber, and then sometimes it's like, oh, we're celebrating their life. They might have wanted this song played at their funeral kind of thing. So
yeah, it's more of like a Thanksgiving or something, isn't it? Like a more
What would you guys go for? I've sometimes thought I'd go for like quite a somber vibe, but actually that just feels a bit mean on everybody, doesn't it? Really, like if you.
Do you want people to wear black, or do you want people to wear bright colours?
Ooh, I guess maybe I would just have to go for like the more colourful one. It doesn't feel very me for it to be like.
I'd probably be like, just wear what you feel comfortable wearing. You know, wear what feels right to you on the day. However you want to pay your respects. It feels weird
that's
being
really,
like.
That's really offloading the responsibility, Louis. That's like,
isn't it? Yeah.
That's quite
don't
mean.
make me think about it. I'm dead. Like, come on, give me a break.
Dress as you. Do you think that'd be quite fun? Like...
No.
that would be a weird.
That would be a really weird vibe. That would be very like surely a level of narcissism at certain.
Some Twilight Zone stuff.
Yeah, I bet someone's done it.
One of your other podcasts, Louis, and you'd said that you were dressing up as your friend for.
Yes, that was for a birthday though, not for a funeral. And that was definitely an interesting experience. To be fair, it made for a good birthday. Like in London, I don't think it would feel very appropriate carrying the coffin, but it could be an interesting one. I'm sure there's someone out there who's given it a go. But
you know what music I'd have though? I think I'd want a nice mix of kind of like classical, and then maybe a bit of pop, bit of disco.
Yeah, mix is a good idea. Like, give people a chance to have like a kind of somber reflection, and then give people a chance to have a bit more of a
I think
celebration,
incredibly
I guess.
aggressive hip hop.
Yeah.
Some people
Life's a bitch and then you die.
Yeah, just put any of Biggie's albums on for the whole duration. Born to Die. Oh no, but no.
Yeah, picking like the most appropriate song would be kind of a sort of.
Well, people always.
song,
I think
probably.
a classic go-to joke answer is like the Monster Mash, isn't it, or something like that? I was
Don't
like,
actually know what that is.
do the
I know what that is?
Monster Mash. He did the mash, and then like, you
Oh,
know,
yeah, I
your
do
body
know.
gets puppeteered out of the thing and doing the dance, and it'll be incredibly inappropriate, but. The reason we mentioned funerals in the first place is I was just saying that it's played everywhere in the UK all the time, especially I think, Ronan, for me and you, our most formative memories of ABBA are probably being taken to flares against our will.
Maybe-
and then being
maybe that's
stood
why I
there
had
at
that
2 a.m. like, can we go to bed
You
yet?
were the guys on the dance floor, ABBA, who weren't dancing, who just stood there, like, not moving. You were them.
But the thing is,
You
right, if
dragged-
I was going to an ABBA concert, I would be going to dance, because it's like, I'm purposely going to this ABBA concert and I want to. I think a lot of the times we were in flares against our will, you know? So
you just got to be the right level in somewhere like Flares. Like,
Yeah,
I'm sure
very,
there were
very,
times
very drunk.
when I was. Yeah, there just definitely
have a fun
was other
time.
times when I wasn't. And the weird thing about Flares culture, just whilst we're on this, is that everybody drank those
weird blue.
WKDs, those like Alka Pops that like have no alcohol content in them.
It's all
Like, no
sugar.
alcohol content whatsoever. So like, it's not like you're helping yourself. Like, you're just slowly sobering up in a room full of like drunk students and leery old men.
20 minutes. We're trying to drink so many to like get drunk, and it's just going straight through you.
I do want to say, for the record, I think Flares is very fun. I just don't think it's very fun every single night.
I remember it. This is another one that I actually can remember sort of fondly now. I do look back on it with a sort of warm reflection, I think. That's just nostalgia, I suppose.
It is, yeah, to be fair. It is. I do look back and laugh, like, and yeah, it's nice.
What was odd about Flares as well was like the number of like old pervy men just like hanging out there.
Yeah.
I
It
didn't
was at
really
least
think
like
anything of it.
30%.
Yeah, and it's like, what are you doing here? Like, you have work to go
That was a
to.
big issue.
Leaning against the walls in the bar and stuff. Like, just waiting for the opportunity to buy someone a drink or something.
It was
Or
the
just
fact there was no
watch,
range
really.
either. It was exclusively young drunk students, often young drunk women.
Yeah.
And then nothing in between, and then just these old men.
I think there was the
place.
occasional divorcee in there.
Yeah,
40s,
maybe.
50s. Accidentally
I
stumbled
don't
in.
remember them being that common. Like, given that
No.
Newcastle's full of them, it was. I don't know whether they were that well represented in there.
But that's our main association with ABBA. So
That I find that like that. Yeah, we need to
need to suss out what like the European sentiment. How infiltrated into German
European
society
sentiment.
is
I like
ABBA?
that.
You know. Again, I guess they did win Eurovision, and they are like the primary example of like. Are they Europop? Do they count as Europop?
I feel like they're sort of early Europop, I'd say.
Yeah. Like, I feel like Europop's gone a bit crazier since ABBA. But ABBA
feel like
must be the progenitor.
Yeah, they're the originators of a lot of the sort of the things we'd associate with Europop, I feel.
Has Eurovision gone downhill since ABBA won it?
I just always thought that it was because other countries take it seriously, as in it's only us that are just, until recently, generally shit. And even that's just political, I think.
Yeah, there's definitely this element of like, well, we know no one likes us, so we're not going to win, so we're not going to try. So we just send off whoever. And then we were pleasantly surprised last time.
I genuinely think we just did all right last year. Although, actually, I don't know whether this is fair. I can't really remember the song, but...
If you can't remember the song, it can't be that good.
I just feel like we're pretty, like, we've gained a reputation as actually having done pretty well with some of the Ukraine stuff and supporting Ukraine, and we basically got paid back for that in the way that everybody always gets paid back politically. You know,
karma.
That's Eurovision.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll do terribly again next time it counts. Are either of you doing anything for the Eurovision actually?
When is it?
I don't know. Some of my mates are organising like a big watch party. Did you try for tickets or anything? Is that up either of your streets?
It literally couldn't be further away from my street. I just have zero interest, like zero interest at all.
That's surprising, Tash. I'd have thought Eurovision would be like up your street somehow.
Oh,
I don't know why.
I had this realisation when
I
I was preparing for this podcast, right? That I was listening to, some other people, so Alex's, Eleanor's, Charlie and David's, and I was like, oh my God, I feel so basic. They're all like South America, like influences, and Central America, and Canadian, American, like country, and there's me like bloody ABBA in Stratford. Like it's just not.
No, Tash, I can vouch that you had, I think, possibly one of the most diverse tastes, or always seemed that way at uni. You always came out with all sorts of random surprises of like who you were listening to. That's how I remember it at uni. I just like I remember sort of like talking about Reggie Snow, and there was like a few others like just really random like curveballs. But maybe that's because I first like associated you with ABBA.
Yeah.
So then everything seemed like a curveball. I don't know.
I was thinking, if I didn't pick this, what are my most listened to albums at the moment? And it's either Taylor Swift or Dua Lipa. Like, that's I can't go on the podcast and talk about Dua Lipa.
Well, right. To be fair,
you definitely can. That album as well. If you're thinking about whatever it was called, like Nostalgia Future, that was like it's pretty defining of like the current sounds somehow. It feels that
definitely.
Disco vibe.
Okay, maybe
Called Nostalgia Future. What's it called?
Yeah, it is cool. Yeah.
In fairness as well, right? Alex, the first time he came on, he talked about Boomtown, which was just like
Alex is definitely
grungy, grungy festival where he talked about. You were like, "Oh, my parents listen to this podcast. Please don't swear too much." And then Alex just went, "All right, cunts." So all right. So okay, thanks, Alex. Great. I think, like, genuinely, it's just so interesting to hear about this, like this whole this not live performance. I think it genuinely still just boggles my mind. Like, it's like this thing. It's like, should I go or should I wait until it's an artist that I'm more like invested in, or do I want to see the ABBA version just to get an understanding of it? Because I still can't wrap my head around how it can look so real when it's not. Like, that just doesn't feel right,
Yeah, I feel like that's gonna be like half of this podcast is just being like,
I don't get it. I'm so stuck in the past. It's going to age terribly as well, because obviously this, like you said earlier, and this technology is only going to get better, and then it's going to become pervasive, and then people would like stumble across this time capsule and be like, look at what these troglodytes thought. They didn't see it coming.
Well, that's fine. It's engagement.
Well, people listen to this podcast in like 50 years' time.
In 50 years' time, yeah.
Oh God, we'll be like 70.
Got lofty aspirations.
Well, you do see
in
it a
ABBA
lot.
time. That will happen in a heartbeat.
Exactly.
At the end of this
God.
podcast, our 70-year-old selves will suddenly come out.
Mate, imagine if we did that. That'd be quite funny, to be fair. Reconvene at 70, record like an extra little bonus snippet of audio, and then just tag it on, re-upload it. Could I do an old person voice? Well, when I'm old, I'm not going to fake it. We're going to do it for real. Let's get it in the Google Calendar. 70 years from now, we'll come back.
Tag it on.
Yeah, and tag on a little like bonus bit at the end. That would get engagement. People would go crazy for that.
Cool.
People love that kind of shit. So that stuff where it's like, I took a picture of myself every day for 17 years. And I was like, wow, you were so forward thinking. So what we're going to do is we're going to be forward thinking, and we're going to come back and be like, going to come back when we're 70 and be like, old age comes for you. The same message that Tash left ABBA with.
Do you think all the likes are worth it for those people who have had to take a photo every single day whilst they've been growing up, and then they just get like they go viral for a little bit, and that's it?
Yeah.
Do you think it's really worthwhile? It's a lot of effort.
No, it's a lot of effort. I definitely forget as well. or like
Oh, yeah.
CBA it. There'd definitely be a day where I'm like, I can't be fucked doing it today, and then the next day be like, well, I missed it yesterday, so it's off, done. Only got 2 weeks in. Do we want to just pick any like little favorite ABBA songs out from the set list before we move on to the quiz? Is there any what were your like top 3 highlights, Tash?
Okay, so let's start with The Visitors. Although I didn't know the song before, it was the perfect beginning. It was like suspenseful. It was like, ooh, what's happening? It was a really good opening.
Was it loads of like smoke and stuff
there was just
on
like
the stage
I
and
didn't
mystery?
say about this, but the visuals throughout were amazing.
Yeah.
Like the graphics, the lights, it was phenomenal. It was a really like immersive experience without it sounding like really kind of, naff. It was really good. And then I think Does Your Mother Know was another highlight because of the live band. It was a really like dancey song. Everyone was like grooving, like that was fun. And then probably Dancing Queen. It's one of the classics, isn't it? And it was like the ultimate one.
Definitely.
Everyone was really like hyped by then. Everybody had forgotten that it wasn't real, and it was just a really good end.
I mean, you're just so in the moment.
Yeah.
Was it like an encore?
No,
Like,
they didn't. That's what we were annoyed about. Oh no, they did. So I think they did Dancing Queen. They then disappeared.
Yeah.
And then they reappeared for The Winner Takes It All. And then we all expected them to do Super Trooper. Didn't.
Yeah.
They left, and then that's when the old people came. Old ABBA came on. Old people. And
just these random old people just wandered onto the stage, and
that's when we knew it was over, and then the lights went up. I guess like if it was live, you'd suss out the audience sentiment and you'd to another one, but that was a bit odd. And then
I do think it's a strange order because I feel like I would have done like Thank You for the Music as like the end, and then Dancing Queen as the encore.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have bothered with The Winner Takes It All because, like you say, it's just like a weird, sad.
There must have been a reason to
vibe
it.
to
I
end on.
don't know why they left like some of the big ones out. Like there must have also been a reason for it. But yeah, to end on The Winner Takes It All was definitely, I thought, quite odd.
But still, overall,
100% would recommend, and 100% would go and see it again. Would go and see it again. So if you want to go, I'm like I said before,
I'll hit you up.
Ask me twice.
Okay. How much was actually a ticket for it?
Oh, I think mine was 75 for the dance floor. I think that the seated is less, and then the dance booths were over 100.
Bloody hell! So the dance booths were like the VIP area, essentially.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Were people more dressed up in those bits, or was it everyone the same kind of like vibe?
I think they probably were. Yeah, they were a little bit more dressy.
Yeah, I feel like if you're paying for like a special VIP zone, you're gonna be there like I'm embracing the whole thing. I'm going all out ABBA. I would at least. I feel. I think the songs that I'd like to see the most. I think the ones that would catch me up in the ones that I can never help. Like even, when you're on the night out and you're like, oh god, they're playing it again, but you can't help like getting involved in like gimme gimme gimme. And Voulez-Vous are just so fun.
Oh yeah,
I think.
Gimme 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 is also really good. Oh,
yeah,
like on my top 4. Or maybe that would be Hip Dancing Queen to the Post, I think. Gimme Gimme.
Oh really?
That is like a classic dance one.
It gets me every single time.
My 3 are they've just been said: Dancing Queen and Gimme Gimme for just pure hype that happens in any room that they come on. And then Does Your Mother Know, because it makes me think of that scene in Johnny English, where he rocks up and he plays like the video evidence that's gonna be the clincher for like this dude who's about to get coronated. Like it's all been a conspiracy or something, I can't remember. And then it's just Johnny English, like a home recording of him in his bathroom singing along to that song. I remember finding that hilarious as a kid. Kind of makes you want to look it up again. But also probably my first introduction to ABBA, really. I actually don't know whether I'd heard ABBA before that. When I watched Mamma Mia, I remember like that song comes on and I was like, it's the song from Johnny English.
Well, thank you very much for taking us through the ABBA Voyage experience, Tash, talking us through your view of it, I guess. I was going to say experience of it, but then I've used experience twice, and that's not very good. But yeah. So do you have a little quiz
I do
put
indeed.
together for
I do
us?
indeed, yeah.
Very nice. It's time for the quiz. Do 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 do. There we go. I was wondering if you were gonna do it then. There's a gap.
Yeah.
I thought that was pre-recorded.
We've got the pre-recorded bit where Ronan does the little introduction to the album bit, the More of Something Else Entirely, and then we always do the "It's time for the quiz" bit live. So the guest just awkwardly sits there as we.
Waiting when they could talk.
All right, I'm ready as long
Okay.
as Ronan's ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. Can you hear me from here?
Yeah, I can tell you're just like rummaging in your room.
Okay, right. I'll sit back down. Hang on.
It's demand your full attention, Ronan. Come on.
I will just like caveat. I wouldn't like guarantee the validity of my sources, so I don't actually know if these are the correct
perfect.
answers. So they could be completely wrong, but we'll
It's
go
a
with
classic.
it. Yeah.
Nice.
So, there is a time limit on all Eurovision songs. What is it?
Oh my god! For a second, I thought you were going to be like, "There is a time limit on this quiz," and I was going to panic.
We can do a close to 2 on this one.
Is there like multiple choice, or is it
No.
just?
There isn't.
I'm gonna, or you can make your guess if you want first, Louis. But I'm gonna make mine. Otherwise, I think
You go first. I'm going to use you as a sounding.
3 minutes 30.
I'm going to go with 2 minutes 45.
Louis, you've got it. The answer was 3 minutes.
Oh.
Louis closer.
Oh yes, just gives you.
Louis, you've got it. Louis, you're closer. 3 minutes.
Nice.
Time limit. Okay, number 2. Sweden was ranked the second happiest country in the world to live in 2022. What was the first?
Oh.
It's you can go first because I went last time.
Yeah. Part of me thinks it's probably another Nordic. So I might go with I might go with Denmark.
Can we both give the same answer, or is it?
It's not advisable.
Oh, okay. Well, I know Denmark's had it in the past. I don't know whether they had it in 2022. So I'll say, I don't know, Iceland.
The answer is Netherlands. Netherlands.
Oh.
So I think in terms
I don't believe that. They don't seem very happy.
All just baked.
I think Louis, you can get that because you were closer. Did we say we'd do it closer
Geographically?
Oh no.
That's very generous, but I'll take it.
with Denmark, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean Denmark. It's just it's across the pond, isn't it? Kind of.
Yeah. Right. What is the national animal of Sweden?
Animal. Is it Is it a bird?
Ooh.
Can I ask like a clarification?
It's not.
Or is it?
No, it's a mammal.
Oh. What the fuck lives in Sweden?
Definition of mammal is. I might have missed.
A moose.
That's a good answer. I'm gonna go with a. No, I feel like everything I'm thinking of doesn't necessarily. I'm gonna go with like a beaver. Do beavers live there?
Ronan, you're spot on. It's a moose.
Ah,
Is it?
Yeah.
Because I was just second guessing that because I didn't know whether you actually get moose in Europe. I thought that
that's why I didn't. Yeah, and I would have assumed that the national mammal of Canada would have been the national animal of Canada would have been a moose. And therefore, does it get claimed? Is it like, oh, Canada has the moose, therefore you can't have the moose? But
yeah, I don't know. It's a fight over who gets
each thing.
Oh no, okay, yeah, you do. You get them all across there.
Have you seen on the news recently, like in the last few days, there was like a moose that randomly turned up in a hospital? Have you seen that?
No.
Was it sick?
No, I don't.
Was it sick?
No, wait, let me just moose in a hospital.
You want to know a fun coincidence? the national animal of Canada is the beaver.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
I got the other way around.
Yeah, so a moose was so hungry that he went into an Alaska hospital and began eating plants on the 8th of April,
No.
Oh wow.
1923. Yeah, apparently mooses are as common in Sweden as like probably cows are in the UK. So yeah, that surprised me too.
Oh, bloody hell.
400,000 in Sweden. 400,000
Oh.
mooses.
I'd love to see a moose.
Yeah, I'd love to see a moose. Just so magnificent.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Big bulky things. Kind of scary. I think they'd be scary to see in person.
Have you ever seen one like running down the highway at like full speed? It's crazy. How quickly they can move through like really thick snow as well. It's like it'd be like being hit by a truck with horns on it.
Jeez, yeah. Can maybe do that and then.
I'm going to send you a photo of the moose in Canada.
In hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on the Facebook.
Oh wow, God! It really did walk right into the hospital.
Wow. I love how like the police are just there like, what do we do about this? That dude's face is just like, how do we deal with this situation? I might have to set this as the background for the thumbnail.
He looks like he's questioning his life choices. This dude, like, how did I get to this point?
Oh my God, incredible. Is there more questions?
No, that was it. But I'm sure I've done a few more now.
No, that was great. I think that was
yeah,
2-3
it's perfect for Louis because he.
in the end, yeah. 2-1. I don't know, 2-1, 2-3.
Yeah, that was good.
Giving you. I mean, I don't know if I should technically accept the Denmark, so maybe maybe we should round it down.
That doesn't really work. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I feel a little bit like I'd be cheating running out of a point there.
So it's 1-1.
1-1. You could quickly like think up a tiebreaker if you want.
This isn't ABBA related or Sweden related, but it's. I just googled most interesting facts in the world, and
Okay.
what is the strongest muscle in the body?
Tongue.
Oh, for God's
Oh, I was going to say that as well.
That's a warm up.
Yeah, that was the one.
I didn't think. That is surprising, isn't it? The tongue.
I feel like I couldn't bench press with my tongue though.
How long does an ant rest for in a 12-hour period?
Is it what for? Sorry.
An ant. Like a little.
Oh, an ant.
Little
rest.
ant, yeah.
Yeah. In a 12-hour period, was it? I'm gonna say 10 minutes.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be something like depressingly low. I'm going to be more generous to the ant and say he has like a nice little hour's rest.
The correct answer is 8 minutes.
Oh, wow, Jesus Christ. Well, that gives Ronan the win.
Oh, Louis, what were you doing?
That's pips at the
all.
post. I threw it away. I should have claimed the Denmark point.
And then the tongue. You should have just claimed that because you got in before me.
Yeah, but to be fair, you would have said tongue as well. You know, I think this way at least you beat me completely fair and square. Yeah, on the tip of your tongue. Very good. Very witty.
I don't know whether it is actually. It's just repeating the words.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much for the quiz, Tash, and thank you very much for the ABBA Voyage experience. Thank you all very much for listening. You can find us on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, and all your other podcasting applications and stuff like that. If you've got any thoughts and feelings, for example, if you are a lovely European listener or you have any lovely European friends, maybe email us or reach out to us Instagram. That's moreofsomethingelseentirely@gmail.com or at moreofsomethingelseentirely on Instagram, and let us know how impactful on your lives has ABBA been. Is ABBA as overplayed on the continent as it is in the British Isles, as they are in the British Isles? And would you go and see your favourite artist depicted in holographic form? But yeah, thanks you all very much for listening. Thanks again, Tash, for coming on and joining us, and Ronan for joining as ever. Hope you guys enjoyed. It's been a lot of fun talking about it. I've really enjoyed the voyage.
Beautiful.